Hello friends and welcome to my video. Today I'm going to be speaking about my least rated books. Now I didn't absolutely hate these books. I haven't read a book that I absolutely hated. I'm lying. I did, but I don't put it in this video. If you guys want my opinion on my lowest rated books, then just keep on watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's begin the video. So I'm going to go in with the Huda Naughty palette. I'm going to go in with this color Juicy right here. The first book I'm going to speak about is probably one of my lowest rated books, which is In 5 Years. So I'm just going to take that juicy color and put it all over my lip. Okay, so this book is about two best friends, Danny and Bella. And Danny's life is going great. She just got the job of her dreams. Her boyfriend just proposed, so they are going to get married in the future. After her boyfriend's proposal, Danny goes to bed one night, and when she goes to sleep, she wakes up and she realizes that she wakes up like 5 years in the future. So she's in an apartment that she doesn't recognize with a man she doesn't recognize. But obviously the man knows her because he is saying her name and speaking to her like he knows her. And then, like I said, she realizes that it's 5 years in the future. So when she goes back to sleep in that time period, she comes back to the present where she's with her boyfriend and living the life that she remembers living. Danny knows that it wasn't a dream that she had because it just didn't feel like a dream. Like, it felt way more real to her than what a dream would feel like. So she has no idea what that like time travel or premonition was, and she doesn't even know the man who was in that time travel slash premonition. So she doesn't tell anyone about that, and she has a best friend named Bella. Her and her best friend are like sisters. So when her best friend starts dating a new guy, she's so excited. She's like, I can't wait to introduce you. And when Danny meets the boyfriend, she realizes that that's the guy from the future that was in her apartment. She doesn't say anything, but she's completely confused herself. Like, she doesn't know what any of that means. So that's all I'm gonna say about that book. I do think my mistake going into this book is that I thought it was a romance book, and it's not a romance book. If I would have went into it with a different mindset, it's about the story of two best friends, then maybe I would have liked it a little bit more. And I'm gonna go in with this color Passion all over my lid. So I did just read the back, and the back did say love story, and I guess you assume the love story is with her and a guy. But you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I give this book a wrong rating now that I read the back. I'm thinking about it, have a different mindset, because what I absolutely loved about this story was the friendship between Danny and Bella. Like, you could see that either one of them would sacrifice anything for the other, and I can completely relate to that. Like, I have friendships in my life that I have had for so long that they're like sisters to me now, and I would literally drop anything for either one of those girls. Now I feel like I gave this book a bad rating. I guess just reading books, like, after you put the book down, you've had some time to like think on it, you can see like maybe you didn't go into it with the right attitude, which there is problematic things that you have with this book. I wish I had went into it without the expectation of it being like a love story, like a One Day in December, where the girl sees this guy on the bus. I've spoken about this book before as well, where she sees this guy on the bus and she spends a year looking for him because like she just felt an instant connection, and the bus pulled away before like they can speak to each other. And her best friend helps her look for the guy, but her best friend obviously has no idea what the guy looks like. And then when her best friend starts dating a guy and she finally meets the guy that her best friend's dating, it's the bus guy. So I understand like the confusion and mix up. I feel like this book would have been a 4-star read for me if it wasn't for the time traveling aspect. Like, this book did not need that messy time traveling aspect. Like, if it was just the book about the friendship and them going through what they went through together, it would have been a way more powerful book. But throwing in that weird time traveling aspect, and then a little bit of cheating, like, I mean, cheating is cheating, but like where she like kisses the guy for no reason, because like they don't even like each other. They even say like, what are we doing? Like, just weird. Like, it gets weird, and that's the part of the books that I don't like. Like, it's like forcing something to happen that wasn't organically happening in a book. just for the sake of like having something happen in the book. Like I feel like this book would have been great if it was just focused on the friendship without throwing in that extra drama or forced romance. Now, the next book I'm going to speak about is All Yours Perfect by Colleen Hoover. Now, don't get me wrong at all. I absolutely love Colleen Hoover. She is probably my #1 author. I mean, whose #1 author isn't she? Like, she is the best at what she does right now, and I absolutely love her for it. But this book just isn't for me. I had my best friend read it and I knew she was gonna love it, and of course she absolutely loved it, but it just wasn't for me. And I'm gonna summarize the book first and then let you know why the story wasn't for me. This book has dual timelines. It has the past when you first meet Quinn and Graham and they meet each other outside of their cheating significant other's house. Their significant others are cheating on them with each other, so that's how they meet. So Quinn and Graham hit it off when they first meet, and then you jump to the present timeline of them being married and unhappy together. So if you're looking forward to reading this book, I wouldn't recommend you watch this video any further. I'll leave a timestamp down below for the next book, but I'm going to get into some spoilers here because that's the only way I can really explain why this book didn't really resonate with me too much, that I couldn't give it a higher rating. And I'm going in with my Huda Beauty Jelly Primer, and then in my T-zone I'm going to go in with my Tarte Timeless. In this book, Quinn and Graham are going through fertility issues, and because of that you can see like it's putting a strain in their relationship. Quinn really desperately wants to be a mom. It's kind of like consumed her, where she's unhappy because she can't fulfill that goal of hers. Like she even revolves the intimacy that she has with her husband around the possibility of her getting pregnant. So she'll only want to be intimate with her husband if she's ovulating and has the possibility of getting pregnant. So I'm just gonna say a disclaimer. I 100% do not and not sure if I will ever understand what Quinn was going through. I can't imagine what she's going through. I feel like I couldn't relate to her feelings and how she just put her value into being a mom, because for me the end all be all isn't children, it's having a happy, successful life. I did speak about this with my best friend. I feel like I'm always referencing her, and I know for her she said that she 100% related to Quinn and understood her struggles and would feel the exact same way if she couldn't be a mom, which is why like this book didn't resonate too much with me. The next book I'm gonna speak about is Then She Was Gone. And because the weather is like super low teens here in New York, I'm gonna be going in with this KVD Good Apple foundation just for extra moisture. This book is about a girl, Ellie. She goes missing and her mom, Laurel, wants to find her. Her daughter's missing. This book also has dual timelines where it goes in the past, where right before Ellie's disappearance, and then in the future with her family and especially her mom dealing with her disappearance and trying to move forward. It's kind of like no answers to what happened to her daughter. So as she's trying to move forward with her life, she meets this man, and he has 2 daughters. He has an older daughter and a younger daughter who is about the age or the time period I believe that her daughter went missing, so like maybe 8 to 10 years old, I believe. Not 100% sure, maybe even younger, but around the time period that her daughter went missing. So in this little girl, Laurel sees a lot of her missing daughter Ellie, like a lot of qualities that her daughter possessed. She sees it in this little girl, and she just thinks like, she's just being crazy because she's always gonna grieve. I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but I am gonna state like why I didn't really like this book. I will say I read this book right after The Silent Patient, and I felt like that was a great psychological thriller. Like I didn't see the plot twist coming at all. Like I couldn't guess it. I was super blown away, and it was a really good read. So then I wanted to get into another thriller, so I gave this one a chance, and I feel like this one gave away too much too early. Like if they had done like the present first in the first half of the book and then like sort of went back and then explained Ellie's disappearance, I feel like that would have been a more successful, shocking twist of events, because you find out pretty early what happens to Ellie, like where you can start guessing like what is coming next. There's no enjoyment in reading a thriller anymore if you can start figuring out where the story is going. And this book did like hook me in the beginning. I was like, I really want to know what happened to her, like how did she just go disappearing like that. But then like literally by the middle of the book everything gets explained, and then reading just see how it ends, because you already know what happened to the girl. And I'm going in as usual with my Revolution foundation stick to contour a little bit. Okay, so the next 4 books I know I'm going to speak about have like a cult following, so please don't hate me. I'm just saying my opinion on these books. The first book I'm going to speak about is A Song of Achilles. And I know this book, people either super duper love it or they don't like it at all. Like there's no in between. And I can understand that reading this book. Like I can understand the super like or the super don't like about this book. The Song of Achilles is about Achilles and Patroclus. I always have a hard time saying his name. And they are getting ready to go, I believe, to the Trojan War, if I'm not mistaken. So Achilles can like become a hero. I believe that's the storyline. I will say if you don't like Greek mythology, then you're not going to enjoy this book. This book is heavy Greek mythology based, but not where you're going to get lost. It literally will explain everything to you, like as if you don't know Greek mythology. But if you just don't like it, then I don't recommend you reading it, because it's literally a Greek mythology story. One thing I'm going to say about this book is that it is beautifully written. It is so lyrically written and descriptive. Descriptions in this book is unlike anything I've read before. I'm just going in with my usual Milani peach brightener. Now with saying that, my reading style, I'm a very straightforward type of reader. Like I don't like too much lyrical writing. It overwhelms me. I get confused. If you need a paragraph to describe the color red, it's too much for me. I can't get into it. I can't stand behind that. That's exactly what this book does. Like it is literally like in poems. I mean, I'm just being I'm exaggerating, but it's just lyrical from beginning to end, and it is the most beautiful writing I have ever read. Like it is beautiful and entertaining, and I can do that in short stories and snippets, but I can't do that for a whole book. So that's where this book lost. If you like poems, or if you like spoken word and you're into Greek mythology, I feel like this book is completely for you. Not really a poems person. I find them hard to understand and frustrating, but that's just, again, my preference. The next book I'm going to speak about is Love in Other Words. Now, I know this has a huge cult following. Like, I feel so odd saying that I don't understand the hype of this book, because every single person who I have seen review this book has only loved it, like has absolutely loved it. And I feel like there's something wrong with me. Like maybe I am just odd or cold-hearted. I have no idea. But there's like a theme, or I'm not sure if it's a trope in this book, that I have realized I'm not really a fan of, and I'm not sure why the next 2 books, like this one and the other one, have the same trope or theme. I'm not sure what it is exactly, and I can tell that those are the only 2 books I've read with that theme so far, and I've not 100% enjoyed it. And it's where the characters are together, but then something happens and then they fall out and then they come back together. This is about Elliot and Macy, and Macy, when she's a child, gets a summer home next door to Elliot, and they become best of friends. They're both readers. Her dad builds them like a little library, and they spend time in there together. And this is also dual timeline, so you see them in the past becoming friends, becoming lovers, to the present where they run into each other at a coffee shop, and Elliot is super excited to see Macy again, and Macy, you can tell she's kind of hesitant, but then they make plans to reconnect, and he wants to understand like why she stopped speaking to him 11 years ago. He is trying to like rebuild the relationship that they lost back again. I'm going in with my Kosas Cloud Set powder. There are aspects that I liked in this book, obviously, like childhood friends to lovers is always a cute story, and they're both readers, so obviously you fall in love with that too. But I just feel like there were things that happen in this book that, like, I'm trying to word this as carefully as possible because I know people love this book. But the reason Macy stopped speaking to Elliot is like a valid reason. Like, I just don't see how, like, you can forgive someone after something that dramatic. Maybe it's because I'm an Aries and I hold grudges. I don't know. This is one of the first stories that I read with that kind of theme, that like the girl had an actual valid reason to stop speaking to the guy. I just feel like, I don't know, and I get it, like romance is not supposed to give you like kind of like a fiction, I mean it is fiction, but it's supposed to give you an unrealistic vibe. And I just feel like when it's like too unrealistic, like I feel like I'm enjoying Normal People so much, even though it has that trope, because there's like a sense of realism. I do recommend, if you like books, if you like romance, that you do read Love in Other Words. It's not a terrible read. It wasn't my absolute favorite, but it is something that everyone speaks about like on social media, so it is good to like experience it. The next book I'm going to speak about is People We Meet on Vacation. People We Meet on Vacation is about Poppy and Alex, and Poppy and Alex met in college and they became friends. So from that situation, they promised to take a vacation with each other every year. So every year they get together and they take a vacation together. But something happens in their friendship and then they go 2 years without speaking to each other. Poppy just isn't happy, so she remembers a time in her life when she was happy, and it was when she was taking her vacations with Alex. So she just wants to get back to that time in her life. So she hits up Alex again to take one more vacation together and try to kind of mend their friendship. Now this book, with Love in Other Words, I'm gonna give it a second chance this year and reread it. I'm going to reread both of them in the summertime, just because People We Meet on Vacation, obviously it's a book about friends taking vacation, gives me summer vibes, so I definitely want to give it a second chance. But when I read it the first time, I don't know if it's because like I was trying to get myself out of a reading slump. I had just forced myself to get through The Cruel Prince, which is another book I absolutely hated reading. It was a terrible reading experience, but I'm not even. And I'm going with the Natasha I Need a Nude Glow. This is gonna go right in the inner corner of my eyes. Yes, I'm not even going to speak about The Cruel Prince because that put me in such a reading slump. And I'm not even going to speak about it in this video because I just genuinely did not like the series at all. Like, I couldn't even finish it. I gave the books away because I did not even want to own them. But back to People We Meet on Vacation. In this book, I feel like because I had read it right after The Cruel Prince, which wasn't a good idea because I just wasn't in the mood. So which is why I want to give it a second chance this year. But I just didn't care about Poppy and Alex's relationship. I felt like the book didn't make me care about their relationship. I didn't care if they ended up together or what happened. And the reason like they stopped talking, I just found was like not a good enough reason. Like it just wasn't justifiable to me on why you would cut your friend of like a decade off. And then the last book I'm going to speak about today is Dune. I'm going in with my Cover FX monochromatic blush duo in Soft Peach. This is what it looks like. I'm not going to tell you what Dune is about because it's like a really complex sci-fi book. And this is the one book I gave like the most chances to out of all these books. Like, I read the book, I listened to the audiobook, I watched YouTube videos on the book and explaining the book, and then I watched the movie. And you know what, after all that, I just did not like my experience with this book. Now, I will admit I haven't read a lot of sci-fi, so I don't know if sci-fi just isn't the genre for me. I do want to give more sci-fi books a chance and find that out, but I just know like this book wasn't I'm going in with my favorite Huda Beauty pencil in Warm Brown, and then I'm going to go in with Huda Beauty Prom Night Matte Lipstick. I watched Jack Edwards' review on this book and I had to say I 100% agree with it. The first half of the entire book is world building and it becomes exhausting to read. And I read a good amount of fantasy, which usually has world building, but this book takes world building to a whole different level. Literally, the first, I think this is just the first book in the whole series and half of that book, which is, it's a pretty thick book, just world building. And there's also like a glossary in here for words. Like, I just don't have the time to be reading and then looking up made up words. Like, I just don't. And then on top of that, in the beginning of every chapter, there's a short synopsis of what that chapter is going to be about, and it's a synopsis that gives spoilers away. So it's like, you don't even have to read the chapter, you can just read the short synopsis that the narrator says right before that chapter, and you'll know what's going on. Like, so this book was like, I think I tried too hard for this book. Like, I wanted to be intellectually there, you know, with the sci-fi people, and I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. It's not for me. I'm definitely gonna try another sci-fi book, but Dune wasn't it. The movie, honestly, to me was boring. It was super slow paced. For how much promo Zendaya did, she was only in it for like 2 minutes, and I absolutely love her. So this, I'm just not a Dune fan. That's okay. I'm gonna keep the book because it's super beautiful. Look at that. I love the aesthetic of this book. It's so pretty, but I wish I had enjoyed the story. Now this is the finished look for today. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below your least favorite books, and until next time.